Oh, hello there, my dear listeners. You just caught me pondering my crystal ball, or should I say, my orb. But welcome all the same, and thank you for joining me in the Spellbound Soirée. So, what has been going on with Rathir? Or, well, the Council? Or both? Anyway, for starters, and probably most important, the aberrations we've been dealing with for the last few months have finally been quelled, at least to relatively normal levels. In fact, that specific goings-on has died down enough that Carl from the Psionic Order is leaving our fair region of this world, though he did give me his business card before he left. But as far as this radio show is concerned, we'll keep moving along. But before we move on to the rest of the show, I do have some housekeeping to get done. We here at the Eldritch Enclave Radio regret to inform you that our audio dampening spells have not been working recently, so if you hear anything in the background such as screams, wails, and anything sort of ungodly, abhorrent, or retching, please ignore it. Possibly related, the Howling Spectre I mentioned disappearing in the arcade has returned. They have no memory of what happened, but they have asked to intern here, which, of course, we've obliged. Finally, one last bit of business before we can get on with the show. I would like to remind everyone here at the station to please leave any and all cursed items at home. The ambrosia dispenser is now sentient and has been demanding tribute in the form of a joke or a riddle for some reason. We ask all staff to please oblige. Now, first on the agenda for today are some rumors. Recently, I've heard tell of an interloper within our fair city. Of course, these rumors come about a lot this time of year, but perhaps there's some truth to them. It does seem quite impossible, though, given how strict security has been on the walls the past few centuries, and, of course, not to mention the mountains to the south are quite literally impenetrable. Arcane scholars today are still trying to figure out how Magnus managed to navigate them. But those tricksy Aetherians may have found their way in by hidden means. Teleportation, mayhaps. Just the other day, below the foundation of what was once the arcade, a hidden passage has been discovered. No one as of yet has explored it, though many have come forward eager to do so. The Adventurers Guild in particular, unsurprisingly. The Council has said that they will look into this. Well, verbatim they said, looking into this. Though their recent change in leadership to that guy who preaches about vehicles powered by lightning, which, to be fair, is relatively common in our society, and the importance of, how do I put this? Let's say, clean ethnic values, has left many feeling rather despondent, myself included. The man who was once offered the opportunity to use his vast wealth to feed the world and turned it down is now the leader of the Council. All this to say that trust in the Council is at an all-time low. Now for some better news. We've received a visit, my dear listeners, a very special visit. A visit from one old Tom. Many of you may have seen an old wizened man walking about with a gnarled staff and a floppy brown hat. Well, that, my friends, is old Tom. He's come from beyond the walls of our fair spire, preferring, to wander about and hop. He likes to hop, quite a lot actually, intending to the various wilds of the north. There are rumors of him even venturing down beyond the mountains, which is rather impressive. If you come across old Tom in town, make sure to bow or give him a little curtsy. Tom only comes into town every so often to look for special ingredients from abroad to use in his elixirs. Perhaps one day he'll even open up a infusorium here in Spire, and we'll all be able to partake in his concoctions. This is an interesting bit of news. The woman on the hill, or the oracle, has emerged from her orgiastic cave to regale us with what images have invaded her mind. She spoke of scenes of fire, burning, and ash. She did not know if this means our home will be ravaged by flames, or if there is some other more poetic meaning here. She did say that there was some movement in the ash afterwards, perhaps indicating some sort of rising from the ashes. A phoenix-esque transition, rather. Who knows? The images the woman sees have always come to fruition, though. Years ago, I had been summoned by her because she had some vision. In the vision, she spoke of some sort of explosion of light spreading around and touching everywhere in sight. In this scene, she saw myself at the center of this explosion. I thought this scene might have something to do with my discovering or inventing the method of transmitting myself to all of you, but I've spoken with her since, and she still doesn't really know what happened yet or not. I also managed to speak with her, one of her convent. He seemed a bit exhausted or drained, but fairly optimistic about the vision. I suppose it's hard for a cave to burn. Our scouts have sighted some elves in a forest to the east. The scouts have informed us that they've been gathering various roots and herbs and berries. Just, the various things you can find in a forest, I suppose. We can speculate all we want about what the purpose is, but really we know next to nothing about elven culture. So it's hard to say. Some don't even believe in the existence of elves. They tend to be a secretive bunch, and we've not had much contact with them in general. But perhaps that will be changing soon, if these sightings become more frequent. It could suggest that they're beginning to see us as less of a threat, or something to be avoided. I'd personally like to see a world where we can have a sort of cultural exchange with them. Now here's something a little troubling, my dear listeners. Local woodsman Arwen Newberry has reported that his axe and haversack and tinder have all been stolen. He was last located in the Misty Grove out to the west, when he laid down for a rest for a second. First mistake, if you ask me. That area is Fey territory. He's a woodsman. He should have known better. Arwen, if you're listening to this, your items were likely stolen by one or more of the Fey, and they're unlikely to give them back unless you can find common ground or some sort of trade. Maybe offer them something shiny, or like a really big mushroom. The Fey are very curious by nature, and while many are very tricksy, they're actually very empathetic. But it's difficult to communicate with them, and listeners, do be careful when wandering in the woods, especially when you're alone. Ah, yes, our favorite esoteric cult is back. The cult of Yagania has recently come into contact with some ancient artifact. They've declined to tell me much about it. They like to have their secrets. They like to lord it over you a bit, but, well, I'll let them be. Yeah. What they did say, though, is that it looks rather menacing. Maybe they were trying to intimidate me. I'm not too sure, honestly. And when you hold it, it feels funny. And you cannot think clearly. Though they admitted it's questionable on whether they ever think clearly anyway. That is sort of their way, I suppose. With only this to go on, I have absolutely no clue what this item could be. It could be something that is connected to some sort of frenzy or drunken state or some sort of impaired feeling. It honestly may have no connection to Yagni at all, but then again, that doesn't really matter. Recently, many of our local youths have taken to playing a card game. You may have noticed this in your own children. In the game, the players will battle one another with various monsters, spells, and other various means of ensnaring one's opponent. The creator of the game, Lucan Bellerophon, has commented on it, saying that his intention was to create a fun way for kids to learn the ins and outs of aetheric practices. In the game, a player can specialize into various schools of aether and strategize on how best to beat their opponent. I suppose in a way it emulates a form of conjuration aether. One such school is quite meta and a bit funny to me, and that it's summoning monsters who fight with the use of aetheric cards. A little strange, but still. Anyway, I was actually able to speak with Lucan Bellerophon recently. He talked about his recent expeditions down south to the Slinger culture and the relatively new aetheric order. He apparently played a pivotal role in their admission to as one of the main orders. For those unaware, Bellerophon is actually a very high-ranking member of the Thaumaturgic Order. Of course, we had our recent visitor from the Psionic Order, Carl. The Thaumaturgic Order is, of course, based elsewhere outside of the Enclave, but Bellerophon is a citizen here, and for some reason quite likes to stay here from time to time. On a bit of a side note, and maybe a bit of a ramble, just forewarning you here, I should probably go over the aetheric orders just in case. This can get a bit complex, but I think I have a pretty simple way of looking at it. There are actually many aetheric orders all around, but most are very small and more like a sort of guild, if you will, or like a group of wizards, so to speak, I suppose. The main difference between these like smaller orders and what I've called the main orders that are, well, besides just size and, number of people involved, is that the main orders sort of form their own coalition to prevent the spread of the Iberian Empire. Most local groups of people out there are too small and weak to militarily oppose such a force as this empire. The Spire has been working for some time to get established themselves as an order, but they're a little too enigmatic. The leaders of the Spire are, and our region in general is a bit too closed off, even though the Atharians to the south that we've been at war with for millennia are actually colonizers from Niberia. But I've rambled on enough for now, so let's move on. Not exactly a rumor, but I have a bit of, gossip for you. A massive man, roughly about 8 feet tall, clad in full plate, has wandered into town. A knight-errant has come to visit us, apparently. Witnesses have said that he just walked into the pub and sat down and started to have a drink. One of the barmaidens said he looked rather wistful, or almost mournful. He wields a hammer, but this is by no means an ordinary hammer. No, this is a massive boulder with a sword thrust into it, one end of the rock darkened with, no doubt stained with the remnants of his fallen foes. It's kind of like that old myth about the sword said to only be able to be removed by one worthy to rule. Perhaps he seeks one who may free this blade. I hope that fate smiles upon him. You all remember Mavis, right? The 9-year-old girl who had reawakened the ancient automaton that Magnus had left behind? Well, the chorus, the shadowy leaders of the Spire, have decided she will be inducted into the school, so that she may study how to be an artificer. Should she want to, of course. Training to be an artificer is no easy task, but from what Mavis has already done, I think she should be up to it, and she could be the youngest and most talented mage we've seen in generations. I, for one, welcome her into the ranks of the Spire. The League of Extraordinary Exuviae, or Ghosts if you're not pretentious, have indicated through wails and weeps and laments that they would like to volunteer to explore the new hidden passage that was discovered where the arcade used to be. Communicating with ghosts can be rather tricky, as they speak a language of the world beyond the living. Luckily, they have a member, Victor, who can translate for them, and the rest of us. I asked him about his membership in such a strange social group. Victor, of course, is alive, but informed me that he has been allowed to join up due to his father being a previous member of the League. Proponents of their idea claim it would be the safer option, less likely to lose any life. Detractors bring up the fact that if this passage is some Aetherian trap, the ghosts are not going to be all that useful in the outbreak of a melee. And now for some public service announcements. The Council would like to thank everyone for complying with the curfew that was established a few weeks ago. Though the aberrations have died down to normal levels, the curfew will remain for some time going forward. This is mostly because of the ongoing investigation into the Aetherian infiltration. Should anyone need to stay out later than 10 p.m., they may apply for a permit with the Council. The office can be found on floor 9 of the Spire. The chorus have slipped a note under my door earlier. They would like to inform everyone that they will be taking a vacation next week and will no longer be in the corporeal plane. They're going to somewhere called Florida. Not sure what that is, but I hope they have a lovely time in that plane of existence, wherever that may be. Local drunkard Silenos has started a guild for eccentric nature lovers. They are simply called the Cultivators. Old Tom is said to have joined the group. He does love a good time, and Silenos is known to be a good time. Any who wish to join are said to wander into the woods at any time. He will find you. That's all for the PSAs. Let's get back to the news. Well, that's... Okay. Dear listeners, it is with heavy heart that I bring you this. I have an update on the card game mentioned previously. It appears that someone has enchanted some of the cards, and some of the kids have gone missing. Apparently they were playing the game when some dark energy spiraling out from one of the cards wrapped itself around the kids, pulling them into some kind of portal. The card in question is an ensnare named Banishment. The Council has released a statement asking everyone to please refrain from playing the game until an investigation into the cause is complete, and the kids have all been returned home safely. Lucan Bellerophon was not able for comment at this time. Theo, or the Hammer of the Elder Ones, the group founded to help combat the aberrations, was set to have their role lessened or potentially be disbanded, as they're not really all that necessary anymore. But someone on the council has put forth a petition for the group to instead be repurposed. The proposal would have Theo become a sort of militant force for the Spire. Or, well, more accurately, for the council. One of the proposals is to have them investigate the northern region, searching for any and all Aetherian spies in our midst. Proponents suggest that this will improve our defenses against invasion, while others point out that this is reminiscent of what happened in the Ancient Kingdom. They suggest that this is giving a group such as Theo this level of power will have grave effects on the freedom and safety of the people. Having been recently studying the events of the late Aetherian Kingdom, this has the potential to be similar to the witch hunts conducted by the so-called Guardians. Either way, this is sure to have far-reaching consequences. Vala, the Archsage of the Cult of Magnus, has decided to cease the investigation into the death of the previous Archsage, Hungir. A refresher for you, he was found dead roughly a month ago in the woods. The scene was a rather strange one. He was found with his own spear lodged in his chest and hanging from a sacred tree, the Yogwood. Interestingly, he had been missing for 9 days and nights before his body had been found. The area he was found in had been searched extensively. Vala has called off the investigation, citing that it would sour his memory and secret rites if we were to investigate further. She was quoted in saying, "Enough is enough." Our intern, the Howling Spectre, has just informed me that they have regained a sort of fragment of their memory. When they had reappeared after the arcade disappeared, there were others with them. They saw Shyla Trevels, a witch who was employed by the council prior to these events, as well as Rut and Slurk, the two Goblikin who were assistants to Professor Fester. The Spectre has also informed me that just before they passed out again, they saw a group of roughly 7 or 8 hooded figures preparing some sort of ritual. Then they awoke outside our tower. I'm not sure about you listeners, but the implications here are rather unsettling. I've been informed by the Adventurers Guild that Maeve has been recovered from the underworld, but sadly her grandson has not been found. The adventurers who helped retrieve Maeve have offered to go back into the underworld to see if they can find Miskun. The council, nor the leader of the Adventurers Guild, Edith Thornton, have weighed in on this. Oh, actually, I've just received word that Miss Thornton has given them the go-ahead, but to perhaps recover a bit first, or let a different group head in this time. As for Maeve, she is breathing, but she has been found in a comatose state. We're unsure at this time when or even if she'll awaken. And now for the forecast. Tonight's forecast is an interpretation from a higher power. 7 lights were spotted on the horizon. Press forward, and they will guide you. Those who have traveled these roads before know this. They remember you, and they know what you deserve. Roads will be clear of all obstacles except for those absolutely necessary for growth. Be patient, be resilient, press forward. This has been the forecast. Welcome back, listeners. That was a bit weird. Nevertheless, the local blacksmith, Leo, has petitioned the council to create a miners' guild so that he may have somewhere to source materials for his work. Other blacksmiths from the outlying villages have traveled here in order to make the proposal with him. If any of the townsfolk should want to support this petition, Leo has asked anyone to come to the council's chambers and speak on his behalf. I have something slightly different now. Something from my own experience. Recently, I was taking a stroll in the woods. After a little while, I noticed I couldn't tell where I had come from anymore. I had crossed some boundary without realizing it. Just when I had realized this, a woman popped up. Her name was Elva Gembird, and she is a fae. The fae are a rather secretive bunch who live in the forest, or, well, really, they live in another realm that can sometimes be accessed through the forest. She seemed interested in learning about a human, but as she examined me, she frowned in confusion and said I wasn't human. Which is rather strange. I'm not sure if she is just misinformed. I asked her what she meant, and she said she doesn't really know what I am. But that I'm not human. She was sure of this. We talked for a bit, and she tried to figure out what I am, before she had to run off suddenly. I'm not sure what I should do with this information, or how to go about checking on this. Perhaps I'll return to the forest again. The figures on the mountain have been spotted again, this time in more detail. They appear to be rather stout, standing about just 5 feet to 5 feet 8. These are the ranges of the group that was spotted anyway. They were a rather muscular, very clearly make a living through mining and such. Their skin was pale with a greenish hue to it, and when the scouts caught a glimpse of a face, they could have sworn it had tusks. We're not sure who or what they are. The council is deciding if we should attempt contact or if we should leave them as they are. Now I have something those adventurers in the crowd might be interested in. The matron of the tavern, Sabrina Joslin, has posted a quest to the town bulletin board. The quest is as follows. I've lost me shipment of ale. You know, the good stuff from Lodbrookheim. I need someone to go and fetch it for me. The caravan delivering it was last seen just outside of Lodbrookheim, and if you want more details, come see me at the tavern. There you have it. Another thing a little personal, but also strange, and I wanted somewhere to talk about it. And the last thing about Lodbrookheim reminded me of this. My uncle, the eccentric magistrate from the Northern Kingdom, has sent me a summons. In it he mentions that my grandparents have died and left him quite the substantial sum of coin. I never really knew my grandparents, but he claims they were paranormal investigators of some sort, and he never really had the stomach for it. He asked that I venture north and meet him in order to discuss this further. So I guess I'll be setting off for Lodbrookheim soon. Maybe I should document my journey, and whatever this entails. And now, for some messages from the patrons of the show. The Cult of Magnus would like to invite anyone and everyone to the birthday party for their mascot and dog, Magnus. He was adopted by the cult when a wounded pup wandered into the temple. Hunger couldn't turn him away, and so he was inducted formally into the cult, where he has lived ever since. Dogs aren't sacred to Magnus, but they are sacred to another cult that I've heard a rumor of from the mainland. Either way, Vala has asked that anyone who wishes to bring a gift for Magnus to leave it in the offering room by the entrance to the temple. The party will be happening on Moradog this upcoming week. Sabrina Joslin would like to let you know that the tavern has weekly events. Every door in the dog, there is a trivia night. She also hosts a town bulletin board outside the building, where anyone can post a quest or job for a mercenary to do. She's currently hiring barmaids and a bartender, so anyone interested may apply inside the tavern. Azalea Graves has sponsored today's episode and would like to inform everyone that she has opened up a shop in town. She plans on selling crystals, doing readings for people interested, and she says she'll cast a hex on your ex. It should be noted that casting hexes is still highly illegal, no matter how much the person deserves it. Thank you to everyone for your contribution to the Spellbound Soirée. Now, back to the rumor mill. I have some rumors, as I just said, but these ones are from abroad. Various places outside of Rithier. As you may be aware, our communication with the world outside of our home is limited, to put it best. But nevertheless, we get messages and bits of information from time to time, mostly through travelers, who brave the yawning maw to the north. In a land to the distant west, a jungle has suddenly appeared. The region is strong in ether. Quick refresher, ether is a natural energy in the world. Aether comes from living creatures, at least to put it simply, usually in the form of spells. The area is abnormal in that there is a lot of this natural energy, causing the landscape to shift and flex in different ways. And apparently, one way this works is forests and new biomes can pop up randomly. The school to the north, Iranasi, has sent word that they've begun to teach curse breaking, and they're reaching out if anyone here is cursed. They apparently used the spell to search for curses in the wider area, and there was a large reading coming from somewhere in our region. Some of the mages at the Spire, including myself, have begun research in order to find out what exactly is emanating this large amount of cursed energy. And recently, the Spire has received word from another of the aetheric orders regarding a sort of reading they got from this region. Apparently, our region, and the area around the Spire in particular, is very strong in celestial energy. No one is quite sure why, and the chorus has been rather silent on this development. Well, not just silent, we've been unable to find them for some time now. Maybe they left a bit early. They said they may be sending someone soon in regard to this. We would look into it ourselves, but we're a bit busy looking into the curses already. Though make no mistake, we will be assisting them when they arrive. It's always nice to have the opportunity to learn about new aether. And a celestial to boot. Very intriguing. I wondered if the town crier Dave is actually a celestial. I'd like to thank you once again, dear listeners, for joining me in tonight's Spellbound Soirée. I hope you enjoyed and were able to become more informed about the world around you. Good night, and sleep well, my friends. The Spellbound Soirée is brought to you on the Eldritch Enclave Radio.